question 6 is showing about the pedigree. Yeah? It's questions about the pedigree. So this question asks us to state the type of inheritance, right? So as you can see here, those affected individual, they are all in shaded. Yeah, they are all shaded. Yeah. So now, um, first thing first. Yeah, first thing first. Pedigree, it can be the questions related to sex-linked gene, or it can be the questions related to autosomal gene. Yep. So that's why we are not able to confirm whether this is a normal Mendel model or a sex-linked gene. Okay. So few type of question, maybe we can put a question mark first because we are not sure. All right, but one thing that we can sure is it must be monohybrid. Okay, it must be monohybrid because when we study about pedigree, it is always looking at only one character. So it must be monohybrid. Okay, so that means that any questions related to this pedigree, and later on, let's say it's asking for proportion or percentage of the offspring to have or to have the trait or to get affected, all of this, well, you will do with the monohybrid cross. Yeah, with the monohybrid cross. Okay. And since it's monohybrid cross, so no matter it's a sex link or autosomal, we will still use the type 1 method to solve the question. Yeah, we'll still use the type 1 method to solve the question. Yeah. Okay, so that means that anything, we just have to find the genotype of the parent, then find the possible gamete that can be produced by the parent, and then do the cross. Okay, so let's look at this. So now state the type of inheritance. Well, to state the type of inheritance, it is either sex-linked or autosomal. Okay, then another thing that is we can find out is basically this is a dominant, all right, or recessive. Okay, these are the two things that we can find out based on the pedigree. Okay, so first thing first, if you look at the pedigree, all right, sex-linked or autosomal, yeah, I think as mentioned in the mind map before, right, we need to see whether both male and female are having the equal chance to get affected or not. Okay, so over here you can see 1 female, 2 female, 3, 4, 5 female in total. Yeah, there are 5 female in total. So how many male? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so overall, you can see that as 5 female and 5 male get affected. So the chance seems to be equal. And if you want to double confirm, you can check those that is smaller. Yeah, the smaller family tree. So in smaller family tree, you will also see the same thing also. 2 female and 2 male. Okay, so it seems to be equal. So if let's say they have equal chance, right, equal chance for both the male and female. So in this case, then we can confirm that it must be autosomal. This inheritance should be autosomal. Okay. Then next, this is a dominant or recessive. Yeah, dominant or recessive. So dominant or recessive, we need to see whether it skipped the generation or not. Yeah, whether it skipped the generation or not. Okay. So if you look at the pedigree, seems like from here, okay, see first generation, second generation, then third generation, then fourth generation, then fifth generation. Okay, so from generation to generation, it seems like okay, it skip, okay. But then the last one it don't skip. Yeah, the last one it don't skip. Okay, so well, based on this, it is quite difficult for us to determine whether it's dominant or recessive, if let's say just based on skipping generation or not. So in that case, to further confirm, then we can use the second criteria, which is both unaffected parent having an affected at least one affected offspring, or both affected parent having at least one unaffected offspring. Now, this is another second criteria that we can use to identify the dominant or the recessive, okay, trait. Yeah. So based on this, what we can find is you can see here the individuals 7 and 8. Yeah, 3, 7, and 3, 8. These two. Okay, 3, 7, and 3, 8. So you can see that both unaffected parent is having at least one affected offspring, at least one of affected offspring. Yeah. Okay. So this one, well, automatically, I think you already know this should be the recessive. Okay, because both unaffected parent, okay, have at least, yeah, one affected offspring. Okay, so if you want to further know why, okay, why this is autosomal and why this is recessive, okay, I mean over here, recessive especially, okay. So if let's say this is a recessive trait, yeah, okay, so I will show you why, yeah. Okay, if this is a recessive trait, okay, so that will mean what? That means that if let's say the uh the individual is affected, the affected one must be homozygous recessive. Okay, so since over here you can see this, right? The individual 3, 7, and 3, 8. Yeah, individual 3, 7, and 3, 8, they are both not affected. Yeah, they are both not affected. Yeah, so 3, 7, and 3, 8. Both are not affected and they are able to produce an affected child. Yeah, so that means that both must be heterozygous. Then only then they can produce the child that is affected. Okay, so in this case, yep, individual 3, 7 must be heterozygous. Then he will produce this. Yeah, he will produce this gamete. And individual 3, 8 must be having heterozygous as well. That only can produce two type of gamete. Then only then, when they cross, it is only then they are possible to produce affected offspring. Yeah, only then they can produce the affected offspring, which is either the individual 4 here and yeah, the generation 4 here. Either this. Okay, so that is, yeah, to prove it is, if let's say it's recessive trait, then yep, only then it is possible. Okay, since both of these individual are not affected. But if let's say you say it is a dominant trait, if okay, if dominant trait, then that will mean what? That means that those affected one must be either homozygous dominant or heterozygous. Right? So in that case, that means that the individual 3, 7, and 3, 8, yeah, do you see this parent? So these two parents, they are not affected. If this one that's affected one is a dominant trait, then it must be this one and this one, right? It must be the homozygous dominant or the heterozygous. And those that is not affected one must be homozygous recessive. If it is a dominant trait. Yeah, if it is a dominant trait, then those that is not affected must be homozygous recessive. All right, so in this case, then that will means what? That will means that the individual 3, 7 and also individual 3, 8 must be what? The the genotype must be homozygous recessive already. So if let's say it's homozygous recessive, then it is impossible. If you do the cross, both individual can only produce one type of gamete. And it is impossible for them to produce the individual that is affected, because all of these will be considered as a unaffected offspring. Okay, if it is a dominant trait, then this one will be unaffected offspring. Okay, so it is impossible for them to produce these two, and that will means that it is impossible for this pair of the parent to produce these two individual. It's impossible. Okay, so that's why what we can conclude here is that it is not the dominant trait. Okay, this pedigree is showing the recessive trait. So with that, now we can confirm. Okay, the type of inheritance, since it asks us to state the type of inheritance, right? So the answer, the type of inheritance is this trait is actually a autosomal recessive inheritance. Yeah, so this is a autosomal recessive trait. So this is the final answer.